What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Coach Nostra, back at you guys with that sneaker review, unboxing, and the on-feet look with the sock combo to match, guys. Let's jump right into another sneaker review. Let's get it. There's the box. One of the dopest boxes, in my opinion, in a minute. They didn't do this with the hybrid ones or the Kybrid ones, if you want to dub them that, but they combined all three boxes, the Kyrie 4 box, the Kyrie 5, and the Kyrie 6 box into this one, and I think they did a really good job. This box is cool, the shoes are cool. In a size 11, guys, the Kybrid S2, this colorway is black and atomic pink. The price is $140, guys. Let's check this pair out. Alright fam, in hand there we have the Nike Kybrid S2 in another What the colorway. This is the black What the colorway, or guys, they might just be calling these the What Thos, and some of the colors that surfaced a little later, like the Desert Camo colorway or that USA tie-dye colorway, have had a little bit something else to dub them and give them their names. But guys, these are the What the Kybrids. These smack. So I've gotten all three of these in hand, that USA one, this one, and the Desert Camo joint. The first one I got my hands on was the Desert Camos. I actually ordered those early because I wasn't sure if they were dropping here, to be completely honest. These, I kind of expected they were going to hit stores, and they did. So I really just had to actually wait, and on release day they actually had these. Unlike that USA colorway, which I actually was only able to get pretty much right about the same day that the Desert Camos released. So guys, if you watch my Desert Camo review, you'll know that that shoe is pieced together by Kyrie PEs from the 4s, the 5s, and the 6s. The difference between this colorway and that colorway, aside from the obvious, the actual colors chosen, is going to be that this is comprised also of Kyrie 4s, 5s, and 6s. However, guys, they were not PEs. Now, some of these colorways, there were alternate versions of. However, everything that makes up the uppers on these two shoes can be traced to something that has released, guys, which I think is really neat. Pretty cool concept. I was extremely geeked for that Desert Camo colorway because of the fact that they were pieced together by PEs. And guys, none of those shoes do I have in my collection, unfortunately, because some of those things are uber rare. Some of them, there's a few floating around out there, but you're really not going to get your hands on those things for any less than a grip, guys. So it really made that Desert Camo pair exciting. These, for me, are equally exciting because I really love these Kybrids. I'm going to admit, these are one of my favorite silhouettes in the Kyrie lineup. If you want to take all the lows and all of the signature line 1 through 6, I really am a big fan of these guys. First off, let's kind of quickly touch on the tech. Starting at the bottom of the shoe, the outsole and the midsole are going to be pulled from the Kyrie 4. And honestly, guys, I think the real reason they did that is because some people did dig the outsole grip for the most part on the Kyrie 4. Now, right out of the box, you sort of have to wear it down a little bit because there's sort of like a texture to the actual texture on that outsole. And what I mean by that is if you look really close to it, there's this sort of weird kind of pattern, and you really had to kind of rub some of that off before these things bit into the court really greatly and started to give you really good traction. However, guys, in my opinion, the Kyrie 5s and the Kyrie 6s got it a little bit better, especially the Kyrie 6s. The traction on that is pretty close to A1, guys, especially right out of the box. You don't really have to wear it down a whole ton. The other thing that really disappoints me, probably the #1 thing that disappoints me, is the fact that there is no Zoom turbo unit in this shoe. They went with the cushioning from the Kyrie 4, which I think only really makes sense if you think that the way that this outsole was done, if they were to go with the Zoom turbo unit and then move it up to the forefront of the shoe, guys, they really would have had to alter this outsole. So it really kind of would have been something new and not necessarily the Kyrie 4. Who knows if they even would have been able to necessarily keep that shape, especially with the multi-directional herringbone plate that we see in the middle portion of that outsole. And guys, I think they really would have had to lose that and possibly retool the actual outsole and midsole itself if they were to bring that Zoom turbo unit into the forefront of the shoe on this particular Kybrid. So really guys, that's my explanation. There really hasn't been necessarily an explanation, but it doesn't make sense that the Zoom Turbo unit is absent from this, because guys, honestly, it feels like it's going to be a staple in the Kyrie line moving forward, at least in the Kyrie signature line moving forward. I definitely expect to see it on the 7s, perhaps a little improvement here in the near future. But guys, unfortunately, no Zoom Turbo unit in these, just the more typical kind of rectangle Zoom unit in the back heel portion of the shoe, which I honestly am not the biggest fan of. As you look at the actual toe box and the midfoot portion of the shoe and the actual tongue of the shoe, guys, that's going to be all Kyrie 5. Maybe one of the most recognizable elements that we see from the Kyrie line is going to be that fly strap from the Kyrie 5. It was definitely something unique. They definitely were thinking outside the box and not just throwing your typical strap on there or sort of like your typical outrigger or caging system to the shoe. Instead, they really thought up something completely new when they brought that fly trap to the shoe. And guys, you either loved it or you hated it, but if you weren't a fan of it, it was probably because the cut of the shoe just was not for you and you couldn't necessarily get these things on feet. It was a really, really difficult shoe to actually get your foot into, because that fly trap only allows the lacing system really to loosen up, but so much because of how the fly wire is integrated into the lacing and the actual fly strap on that lateral portion of the shoe. Then on that back half of the shoe, all around your ankle, the actual heel cup of the shoe, all of that, that's going to be pulled from the Kyrie 6. That heel cup on the Kyrie 6, whether you like how it looks aesthetically or not, it definitely does the job locking your heel into that shoe, locking the rest of your foot on the footbed of the shoe, and hopefully guys, preventing you from getting some of those injuries that are going to keep you sidelined and on the bench and not getting buckets in these shoes. My favorite thing about that heel cup is, while it is somewhat pronounced, it is forgiving. That rubber that they went with is very, very soft. And guys, you're going to be confident when you hit the court in these things. You're not going to be holding back in your game. So guys, I understand why they did what they did with a lot of the pieces of the shoe. I think they took some of the most iconic elements from the 4s, the 5s, and the 6s and threw them into this Kybrid, which is really what they should do, especially if they're trying to make a functional basketball shoe. I just wish they had somehow been able to incorporate that Zoom Turbo unit into the forefront of the shoe. I think that would have made this thing something really, really special and something that you would probably see on courts here for the foreseeable future. Now guys, let's kind of quickly touch on all of the pieces of the uppers on these shoes. I feel like my expertise is going to let me kind of roll right through these things, and I'm not going to be scratching my head on any of these guys, because like I said, they released all these shoes and I got them all in my collection, minus one, guys, which will one day I hope to find and not have to pay a grip for those. But guys, on the left shoe, because the left and right shoes are a little bit different, starting at the toe box of the shoe, everything on the toe box and then sort of the midfoot portion of the shoe on that lateral side is going to be pulled from that Taco PE, which in some areas was the first drop from the Kyrie 5s. Colorway wise, guys, it's somewhat similar on this shoe. It was sort of a dark color on those as well. Moving back to that lateral portion of the shoe, the actual eye and all of that pattern was going to be pulled from that grand purple Kyrie 6, which featured a much more subtle eye that was sort of worked into the suede material. Because the material right there was suede, that's why it was a little bit more subtle and harder to see. Honestly, I think on my right shoe, it was a lot more noticeable than it was on my left shoe, or vice versa. Kind of weird how that turned out. But on these guys, because of the pattern of the shoe, it stands out a lot more. You either love that or you hate that. It's a little bit creepy because it's a really big, almost life-size eye on the side of your shoe, right? You've got a white outline of a swoosh right there. Then as we turn to that heel cup portion of the shoe, one thing that I think is really cool that they did between the left and the right shoe is they actually threw the healer's hand from the Kyrie 6 on the left shoe, while you have that beloved by Kyrie all-seeing eye triangle emblem on the right shoe. So I like how they threw that little mismatch between the left and the right shoe. They've done that on all these Kybrid S2s. When we turn and look at the actual medial portion of the shoe, you can see it's a little bit more plain right there, but then there's a swoosh that's decorated in all this sort of kind of fancy writing. Those were pulled from the Kyrie 4 Confettis, which was one of the dopest drops from the Kybrid 4 line. When we look at the fly strap of the shoe, that's going to be pulled from that Kybrid 5 UFO pair, which was actually a nod to Rick and Morty, just not an official collab. And then last but not least, when you look at the tongue and the Kybrid emblem on there, we sort of see this weird kind of half and half on the K. It's actually pulled from that Kybrid 4 Halloween colorway, which really featured slime on the Ks, on the tongues, and then of course that dripping slime on the swooshes as well. As we take a look over here at that right shoe, some more dope hits as well. On that back portion on the lateral side, you sort of see what looks like this kind of tie-dye pattern. That was pulled from the Kybrid 4 All-Star colorway. You can sort of see that there's this little tag that kind of covers the back half of the swoosh right here. That was pulled from the Just Do It Kybrid 5 colorway. Kind of a nice little touch right there. All of the camo that really dominates that right toe box, that's going to be pulled from the 2 Asia colorways of the Kybrid 6s, so much more recent drop right there. Flipping over and looking at the medial portion of the shoe, you can see that there's sort of these roses and kind of flowers that decorate that Nike swoosh. That's going to be pulled from the Kybrid 4 Chinese New Year colorway, which, guys, as I mentioned before, that's the only colorway that I don't have that comprises any of these shoes. I did not get my hands on those. They didn't release in the States, and for a while it was a really affordable shoe, and I kept just picking up other things, and I meant to grab those, and eventually, guys, it got to the point where there's very few sizes of those things, especially clean sizes of those things out there on StockX and GOAT and stuff like that. In my size that I could actually bid on, I want to say there might even be like 1, maybe 2, so the prices have gone up pretty high on some of those. That's what tends to happen when there's really only 1 or 2 of them available. On the tongue of the shoe, there's a monkey that kind of intertwines himself with the Kybrid logo right there. That's pulled from the Year of the Monkey Kybrid 4s. A lot of different colorways of the Kybrid 4 have been represented on this shoe. Turning to the fly strap, you can see that there's a lot of texture that makes up that fly strap. And then if you look close, there's this dope little smiley face with a Nike swoosh for a smile. Those were pulled from the Have a Nike Day Kybrid 5s. On the right shoe, the sock liner actually has this all-seeing eye pattern all over it. There's sort of different sized eyes that kind of make up that pattern. And I don't believe there was any shoes that had that on the sock liner, but it is very reminiscent of the pattern that made up all of the Kybrid 6 City Pack on the sort of lenticular portion of the shoe. Depending on how the light hit that lenticular portion of the shoe, you could either see the hologram kind of pattern underneath, or you could see all the all-seeing eyes that were over top of it. So that's where they pulled that from. Those were some of the dopest drops from any of the Kybrids. I have almost all of those. I need to get one of those as well, guys. Which, again, another colorway which the price has really skyrocketed on those. Man, they did an amazing job on these. All of these Kybrids have been bangers. I'm really glad that they've been releasing in the States and they've been a little bit more easy to get than the Kybrid S1, which was a regional drop, guys. If you remember, they dropped 3 and only 1 was available here in North America, which a lot of people agree was probably the worst colorway out of the 3. But guys, they've done a great job with all these S2s. What do you guys think of these? You picking these up, you sleeping on these, you going for a different colorway? I'm going to try to bang that USA review out for you guys, hopefully before the next one of these things drops. It looks like we might get a chance at a couple more of these things, guys. So stay tuned. Let's check them out on feet. Y'all know what to do. Comment, like, subscribe. Throw me a question down below. I'll try to hit you guys back prompt. Much love for rocking with me and my videos, guys. Y'all stay safe, stay blessed, take care of one another. Much love.